Roll.
1, 2, 3. Hey, this is Outlaws Advice for Life. How you doing, everybody? I'm trying to give time for my folks to come on, but as you know, every Tuesday evening we come together and we talk about relationships. So I'm just gonna wait a few minutes. My crew's trying to get everything together. We're trying a new process. You're gonna like this. And this process, it has ability to zoom and pan, and we're still working on it. I see some people coming up, but those of you who are, as you're coming on, I just want you to give everybody a chance to come on. So just give me a moment. Just waiting. I see some of my people coming on. I see one of my faithful people coming on. I see a pause on this. Okay, it came back. It's a delay. That's probably what it is. Hey people, how you doing? Appreciate you joining with me. Yes. I see you coming on. So, I just want to give my preliminary. Sorry we missed last week. As some of you know, we've been having some exciting shows for the last couple of weeks. We had a group of couples come together, and they got an opportunity to share their thoughts and share their life stories, share about relationships in their lives. And that was a very dynamic process, very interesting wisdom and insight. And we plan on doing a lot more with our couples. This week I'm here without my wife, and I miss my wife. She actually had to go on a trip, and so I'm here. I'm toting the line without her, so God knows I don't know how I'm going to do that without her, but you guys be with me. I see the thumbs up. I see people recognizing and saying that you miss my wife. I appreciate that. So those couples that came on, they really allowed us to like spread the focus and let you see other people who really are working on their relationships. Hey, Greg, do me a favor. Can you move that over that way some, so my head's not turned as much. So those of you who are coming on, if you've not been with us before, I see Tracy here. I thought she was going to end up missing tonight. She is one of our faithful folks. And Angela, I saw Angela there. You could take it back towards the camera if you can, and that way I'll be right on cue. So remember, we come on every Tuesday evening at 8:30. You can also look at our previous programs, advice, 4 life.us, and you will always be able to get our past shows. Hey, Abiba, I see you there. You'll see our past shows. And listen, I'm telling you, you need to get these shows. These shows are free for you at this moment. There's going to be a time where they will not be all free. So you want to get to those shows. I just got a quick zoom, Greg, that looks like it's right on my center. I don't know what's happening. Oh, it's panning up. See? So we got a new process, y'all. This is wonderful. You're going to see this. I like how you did that, Greg. I like that view. So when you go on the website, you will be able to get our past shows, and you will be able to then dissect and learn the skills in a very detailed way. So in my format, I do teaching, and then I do interviews with people. I also help and counsel people online. And do that directly. And then the other way that we do that is we get couples together. And so you're going to see a lot more of the couples. We're going to do some dynamic things as we go forward. You're going to see that as we start to record and use our new recording format, that it is going to bless you, because you're going to get better pictures and better insight, close up and personal. So I'm looking forward to seeing you with me every Tuesday at 8:30. Look, if you can help me right now, if you go to the left-hand corner of your screen, if you hit share, it'll make everyone aware. I see Dayton. I saw somebody else there. Nice to see you. Hit that share button in the left-hand corner of your device, and that will send it out to the folks that you are connected with. I appreciate your support and what you're doing. I just want to talk a little bit of today as we go forth, and I'm going to give everybody a chance to come in, and then I'll, of course, join you in, and because we are community, we are a family. We come together, we talk, we share about relationship dynamics. Remember, get your questions together. If you have questions, please write them down. You can actually put them and type them in, and what I will do is I will try to respond to your questions. If I can't get to them tonight, I will get to them at another point. Again, go on advice, the number 4 life.us. Again, that's advice, the number 4 life.us. That's the website if you want to get the rest of previous teachings. Now, I really want to jump off on something that was covered the last time that we got together. And that was when we were with the couples, one of my brothers that came on, Teal, made a statement, and he said that for relationships to be successful, you have to give a person permission to speak into your life. I thought that was a very powerful statement. And I'm going to say another statement that was said by my sister Ayo, who was part of the couples as well. She says that she learned over time that it was more important. It was not as important to be right. It was more important to be righteous. And so those 2 points is where I'm coming off tonight with, because I think it's very important for us as we learn how to see ourselves and see our process. Now, when I'm talking about relationships, I'm not just talking about the relationship between, a man and a woman, but I'm also talking about other types of relationships. And I'm talking about relationships between a mother and her children. And especially when you talk about children that are grown, children that are older, and how those children are able to relate to their parents in a way that really helps them see themselves and see each other. See, where I'm coming from is that if you are going to allow someone to be in your life and allow them to have permission to speak into your life, and if, as Ayo shared with us when she was with us, if you are going to make sure and be clear that it's not as important to be right as it is to be righteous, there is an ability that you have to begin to hone and finesse, and that is the ability to really see your process and recognize the process and respect the processes of others. Now, I know that's maybe a little strange in this day, because we're in a day now that if somehow we don't agree with each other, we character assassinate one another. We somehow believe that person is not really a true human person on this earth. We have all these conflicts that we create because we don't agree. And I think that is not really a healthy thing, not only for our country, but for relationships, because we take that stuff in, we look at it on the news, and someone doesn't like what somebody else says, or they disagree, but then they got to talk bad about them, and they got to call them names, and we just can't do what we used to do, which was to agree to disagree agreeably. I mean, what happened to just disagreeing in an agreeable way? Every perspective is going to help you. That's what we talk about, finding the good, being able to see insight. No perspective is absolutely right. We all have aspects of truth. And so when we're coming together, we're trying to lead ourselves to the highest level, getting closer to truth and closer to truth as much as possible. And when we shut down one another's ability to share, and we don't respect what each other is trying to give in the moment, we lose that moral high ground. We lose that ability to really grow. And so when we're in relationship and we are saying we want to allow people to speak into our lives, we have to go through a process. And that process is really about us first humbling ourselves. See, in order to speak or allow somebody to speak into your life, you have to then stop speaking. Right? That sounds obvious, right? You should stop speaking, but it is not obvious to everybody, because what happens is that we are constantly in this mode where we are speaking. And if we're not speaking with our mouth, we're speaking in our heads. And that speech puts us in a position where we're not really hearing, meaning we think that we're hearing. We pretend like we're hearing, but we're actually carrying on a conversation in our heads. And if it's not going on with our mouth, and it's not going on in our heads, it's going on in our hearts. So in order for you to really allow somebody to speak into your life, you have to humble yourself, That's why God says that he gives grace to the humble, but he opposes the proud. So when you're proud, pride is really about you looking at yourself, you thinking that where you're coming from and what you're bringing is the most important thing. You exalt yourself in pride. Pride by definition is saying I'm right and you're wrong. I have something better to say than you have to say. My perspective is better than yours. And you might have a great perspective. But as we just said, if your perspective is right, but your manifestation and your character in executing and describing that, that thing that you're saying, that right that you have, then you're absolutely wrong. You're absolutely wrong. And so when you humble yourself, you put yourself in a position to listen and hear by shutting down not only your lips, but your mind, your response, and your heart. In fact, the way you can do that, the way you can practice that is when someone is speaking, you have to focus on really meditating on what they're saying, what they mean, what's their intent. And if you keep your mind on what their intent is, it will help you discipline yourself from going to your intent. Because you're going to have an intent, you're going to have some thoughts, you're going to have some feelings. So when you get to the place that you can seriously listen and see the person's intent and listen to what they're saying and be thinking about how you can say back what you heard. That means you shut down your mouth, you shut down your mind, and you've allowed your heart to be open to receive. Now, that is something, that discipline is a very powerful thing. Please don't take that for granted. If I am a parent who has raised a child and that child is grown at this point, of course, I know that I taught them half of the things that they know. So my natural instinct is not to always recognize that they may have something to give me in this moment. In their growth and their insight and what God has given to them, I may not be in a place where I understand or recognize that, hey, just because I've raised them does not mean that I should not listen to them. And I can't take the trump card. Well, I'm the elder. Okay, that's true. You are. But there's still a place for you to hear what your grown child is trying to give you. But on the flip side, it's the same thing. The grown child can't, by definition, because they're grown now, think that their parent has no more reason or no more insight to give them. Oh, mom and dad or Uncle Bobby, grandma, you gave me everything I need. There's nothing else you can give me now because I'm grown. I got it. You gave me what you're going to give me. So you've erred. You've made a mistake to believe that you have permission to overtalk them or have in the back of your mind what you're going to say. You know better than them, because, especially, if it's a adult child and their parent, your parent is always saying things that don't make sense to you. and they're always saying things like you saying, wow, I wouldn't do it that way, mom, or that's not the way we do it nowadays. So it's so easy for you to discount what they have, but their intent, when they're saying something, there is a hidden intent behind what they're saying. And if you don't learn how to see that, you will find yourself blind. Because if you'll do that with your mother or your father or your grandmother that raised you, you will do that to anybody. And you will not have the discipline necessary for you to be able, as you go through relationships in your life. God help you if you get married, because you have not learned that. If you can't do that with somebody that you call a friend, how are you going to do that in deeper relationships that you have? How are you going to do that at work? If you can't even hear your colleagues at work, and every time they're saying something, you got to answer, or they said something to you, and I shared this with somebody that I really love very much, a young lady, and I was telling her some things, and every time I was telling her something, she kept saying, yeah, I already know that. Yeah, I've already done that. Yeah, I've done. I said, well, there's no need for me to talk to you, because if you already know it and you've already done it, why am I giving you advice? Advice is not just giving you knowledge about something. You may already know what the person's saying to you. The issue is you haven't learned how to manifest it. You haven't learned how to take it from the knowledge, from the knowing, from the words that you speak to actually make it practical in your life. So you're not listening to advice for life because all the things I'm telling you, you've never heard of before. You may have heard these things before. You may know what I'm saying, or you may have heard it in another venue. But what I'm doing in Advice for Life is I'm trying to teach you the subtle skills, the things that you're going to need so you can manifest it in your life. Because that's the most important thing, that we learn to actually execute and manifest what's going on. So if you're giving somebody permission to be in your life, to speak into your life, my first step for you is that you have to learn to shut down, humble yourself, right? And then you have to learn how to be reflective. Now, I'm going to teach you a lot about reflection as we go on in Advice for Life. But the first thing I want you to do is a very simple one, and you might even heard this. They speak about this, and sometimes in self-help seminars, management seminars. This is going to be very familiar to you, but it's connected to a wider body of skills that I'm going to teach you. So your reflection is going to be reflective listening. Now, reflective listening is simple. It's just what it means, what it says, what it seems to imply. When somebody says something, you are saying back to them what you hear them saying. Meaning that you are not going to put your own intent in it. You're not going to try to interpret it and give some side meaning. You're going to say back to them what they're saying. And when you're saying it, you're not doing it as a matter of fact. Okay, what I heard you say is that, when I'm talking sometimes, I interrupt you. So you just kind of plainly matter of fact. No, when you're saying it back, you're saying it with a sense that what they are saying to you is important and that you are bought into it. Now, you may not be 100% bought into it right away. Matter of fact, you might only be 10% bought in. But your job in true reflective listening is for you to say it back in a way that they see that you are buying it. In this moment, you heard it and that you see the value. And that's what I mean by buying, that you see the value in it. Not that you agree with it 100%, but you see that and you acknowledge that what they're giving you, they're speaking into your life. Their intent is to do something good for you. And so if that intent is to do something good for you, it's only respectful. It's only part of a communication and a true, authentic communication dynamic for you to say back with that heartfelt acknowledgement that what they were saying was heard. That's so important. That's like 101 in reflection of yourself. Now you said, well, I didn't really reflect myself. I reflected what they said. Well, that's what I'm trying to show you. By you reflecting what they said, you are actually giving an additional impression and reflection to yourself. Because a lot of times the reason why we misunderstand and miss each other, how we're talking and things are going on and that person says, you said this. No, I didn't say that. No, I heard you say that. The reason why that happens, we miss each other, is because we really did not hear what the person said. I just had a conversation with a colleague of mine that said when they read my text, they read my text completely wrong several times. That's in writing. That's a text. So in words that we can have a tendency to read into what the person says. And since we're talking in our heads and we're talking in our hearts, we are already putting interpretation on what that person said. Marinate on that for a minute. So, if in fact you reflect to a person, you are actually getting a reflection for yourself. That's the beauty of reflective listening. The beauty is that you learn something because you actually hear yourself say what that person said, and then you begin to remind yourself, sometimes you'll say to yourself, wow, I'm saying that back, but that's not really how I heard it. But because I was being attentive and because I said it back, I was able to catch it. And if you don't catch it, this is the other beauty. The other person will have the opportunity to say back to you that they say, no, I wasn't trying to say that. Now, if a person says and tries to correct you, you allow them to correct you. Because if you're truly humble and you're truly receptive and you're truly reflective in your listening, meaning you want to give back exactly what the person gave you, you won't mind them interrupting you. I mean, if the person interrupts you and says, well, what I really said was this, don't say, no, you didn't. No, you said da 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 da. Because when you start going into that, you said, I said, you said exchange, the game is over. Like you start going down this path that it's really hard to recover from because you're caught up into the jot and tittle, the dynamics of what somebody said. Do you know how many arguments have carried on in American, Greg, do you know how many arguments in America have gone on? If we had to line it up, it's probably like, 10,000 feet going across the country of arguments that have happened because people are arguing about what this person said and what they didn't say. And what I've learned, and it took me a long time, let me tell you something. I'm telling you, this is so hard. What I learned is that it is not really important that they got what I said exactly right, because I'm really listening to the intent. And if a person starts, getting really touchy about the exact words that I use, and I allow them that freedom to be clear about what they said. I don't get caught up, and then I don't try to prove to them, no, you didn't say that. She said, no, I'm interested in the here and now. What are you saying now? So what I hear you saying is this. And the beauty is that person can correct you. They can redirect you. And when they get done, you know exactly what they said. You don't have to guess. That person's on the same page with you. You got what you went for, what you were searching for, which is clarity about what the person said. Now, once you have reflected what the person said, again, it's a discipline not to go to your own thoughts, not to, blurt out your feelings right away, not to, start and go forward with what is important to you in that moment, because you're asking them to speak into your life. When they say something to you about something, it's better for you in that moment to then reflect on what they're saying. Let's say the person says, you interrupt me a lot. You always interrupted me when we're talking. So as one of the skills that I taught you before is that you show understanding or you join them. So let me give you a quick recap of that. When I'm showing understanding, I'm letting them know that I understand, I can relate to what they are saying, that what they are saying has value or merit. You might not believe that you interrupt the way that person does. And that's another thing you got to get out of doing. If a person has a perspective and you spend your time saying, I don't do that much, that's not the point about how much you have determined how much you do it or not. The issue is that person is bringing a concern to you, and you said that you are allowing them to speak into your life. So if you're allowing them to speak into your life, it is not for you to be the judge and jury of what they're bringing to share into your life. Again, going back to being humble, because if you humbled yourself, you would be okay with that person bringing whatever they think they need to bring. And you have to trust that if you allow a person to speak into your life, that their intent is to love you, is to help you, see something, even if it's to help you see something about them. Their intent is to accomplish something valuable in your life. And it's so hard to get over your walls of protection, the things that make you want to, protect yourself. I know it. Trust me. When somebody's coming, we all want to be right. We all want to be the one who's not wrong. We want to be the person who does it the right way. And when someone brings something to us, it cuts into us. It cuts our sense of who we are. we're saying within ourselves, I'm not like that. That's not what I meant. So, okay, we'll get back to what your intention was. But at this moment, you have to not respond to defend yourself. You can't get into your intention at this point. You will eventually. What you're going to do is that when you're going back to that person, you're either going to show understanding, meaning let them know that what they say has the premise, the thing that they're bringing has merit, or you can relate to it in some way. The other thing that you can do is join them. When you join them, that means that you're finding a place of agreement. You're finding something as you can, and you might only agree, you might only find like a dust flake, a small thing that you agree with, but you can, from that speck, pull out a way to agree. An easy way to do that is say, well, I can understand why you might see it that way. So that's my understanding statement. I can understand how you might see it that way. If I'm also understanding, I says, I can relate to the fact that it's difficult for me if I believe somebody's interrupting me. That's hard. And I'm sure if you feel or you experience interruption from me, I can see how that could be difficult for you to manage. So that's your understanding statement. Your joining statement is all of us don't like being interrupted. You're right. Nobody really likes that. So I found a place to agree with them. I found a place to join them in that dynamic. Now, that is so different than you going to your defense, defending your honor, defending your intention, getting, boiled up about it. Because if I allow someone to speak into my life, I have to be in a place where, in a mindset, to hear what they're saying and try to derive the intention. Now, I just said, we just talked about reflecting the words that they say, but you also can focus on their intention. That's what I told you. As you're shutting down your own words, your own thoughts, and receiving in your heart, not trying to, be your own lawyer and make your own case. What you're doing now is you're looking at their intention. Now, this is so important. Greg, I want you to get me up on this one right here. Zoom up on me on this one. This is so important. When someone is communicating to you that you have humbled yourself and given permission, you've given them permission to speak into your life. It is so important. I'm going to take my glasses off. It is so important for you to respect that. It is so important for you to respect the concept, respect the reality that that person is there before you and their intention is good. Their intention, it may come out the store that they might not do it completely right. They may say their words wrong. They may even say things that may provoke you, be a little offensive, but you have to focus on the fact that their intention is good. You know how many times people are together? I'm going to go back to my mother-daughter thing. The mother loves their daughter, raised their daughter, would do anything for their daughter. The daughter loves their mom. She might not have liked her mom when she was a teenager, and they might have had their problems, but now she loves her mom. She does everything with her mom. She'll go out to dinner with her mom. But then when they get into the situation where they're having a conflict, sometimes they don't remember that the intention that the person that's coming to you and they're saying something to you, even though they might be trying to get their needs met, their intention is not to hurt you. It is not to harm you. It's not to destroy you. And see, we get so sensitive because we act like sometimes somebody's trying to destroy us, like they're against us. And my wife said that one of the most valuable things that helped me with this. We were in the midst of a kind of intense conversation. It was getting, it was very tense, and we were escalated and trying to communicate and trying to use our skills to understand where each other was coming from. And we both had our perspective. And I remember my wife started saying something to me, and she said to me, honey,
I am not against you. Everything in my being is for you. Now, I wish I could have taken credit for saying that, y'all. I wish here on Facebook Live, I could take credit that I wish I was been a bigger person to say that to her, but she gave that to me. She said, baby, I am not here. I am not here to hurt you. I am for you. I am not against you. And I see my thumbs up. I see my hearts. Because that's a very powerful thing. That statement is very powerful. And so when you are dealing with people in your life, if you are saying you're in relationship, and again, I say to you, if you're in relationship and you are not relating, if you're in relationship and you don't have the heart to relate, you don't have the intention to relate, if you believe the person is violating you, the person is abusing you, that is not a true relationship. They call it an abusive relationship. I don't even like to put the word relationship with it. Then you need to make other arrangements. And I can talk to you about that another time. If you look at some of my past shows, we talked about how to respond in abusive relationships. But what I'm saying to you, if you want to be in a relationship and you're committed to that dynamic, you have to get that. And if you don't get that, you will read into what the person says. You will read into their words. You will read into their actions. You will read into so many things that that if you were not in that posture, you would recognize that you did not even give them the benefit of the doubt, that you really focused on finding fault and not finding good, and you weren't able to look at their intention, what they meant, what they were really trying to give, what was the thing they were trying to bring. And if you spend your energy trying to go for that and find that, I guarantee you, and if you don't listen to any other program we ever do, if you get this piece right here, it will change your relationship dynamic. I'm telling you, things will be totally different because you will have disciplined yourself to find good, to look for people's intention, and then to be reflective as you become humble and open. You'll be reflective in your listening to what they're saying. Your first move will be to show understanding and then to find agreement as opposed to trying to defend your heart and defend yourself because, I know we're sensitive. I get it. I get it why we're sensitive. We want people to know that we're good people and our intent is good. But you have to sow to reap. So if you want people to see your intent is good, then you have to be willing to see their intent is good. It's amazing when you're in a dynamic where you give yourself permission to not see the good in the other person's intent, but you demand for them to see your good intention. Isn't that amazing? That you actually are in this place, this space where you are, advocating and pushing forth, and saying from a very righteous standpoint, from what the purity of your heart and your intentions and what you're doing and how much you understand that person and how much you do for them, and you don't give them that same courtesy. You don't acknowledge what they do for you. You don't acknowledge that their intent is good. You don't acknowledge that they have a good heart. You don't acknowledge that they're trying to get something for themselves the same way you're trying to get something for yourself. But ultimately, you really, in your relationship, should be trying to find out how you can get the most for the other first, and then look at it for yourself. In the scriptures, it talks about a relationship. I know you hear it a lot. People will try to, make this male-female, that the male is supposed to, woman is supposed to submit, and the male is supposed to be, the head. And the Bible does share that. That is an absolute truth. However, you're unbalanced if you don't read the full counsel of the scriptures, because actually the person who is the head is supposed to be the servant of all. So if the person is the head, they have to submit more than the other person. They have to show understanding more. They have to do reflective listening more, because the person who is the leader has to be the servant. So I think some people would not jump up to be the leader as much as they knew that they had to be the chief servant. Okay? And when you submit, actually, that's been given a bad name in our society, that submission is bad and it makes it low. Actually, submission is a very high place, because God says that he gives grace to the humble, to those who submit. It says, submit yourself to the Lord. So when you submit to God, when you submit in a situation, you are actually exercising one of the highest things that we can do in this human existence. And so, but we have been bamboozled and taught that submitting is bad, humbling ourselves is bad. And actually, it is a great thing. But if you read the rest of the scriptures, here's what's even another powerful thing is that no place is better than the other. One is a servant of all. The other one is really executing the highest level of what a human can do. The rest of the scriptures say that in a marriage relationship, you're supposed to submit one to another. And I can show you in the scriptures how it says that with all human interactions, that we are supposed to submit one to another. So if we're submitting one to another, that means that we are joint heirs. We are brothers and sisters together, growing in our dynamic and growing in our process. And what I'm doing here on Advice for Life is I'm trying to give you these insights, these secrets that you can take with you. Half the time, when I come on, I don't always know what I'm going to say. I'm going to be honest with you. God gives me kind of a concept of what I'm going to say, but I don't always know what I'm going to give. But he's always faithful in the moment. I'm able to give you what I think is really important as you try to master these aspects of relationships. So now I'm going to take a little break, and I'll come back because I want to finish this part. And Greg, I just want to see our Facebook family. I want to see who's with us and who's joined us, and you can jump in.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay.
So yeah, we got Abiba, and we've got Dayton Wheeler.
Yep. I saw them on there. That's nice.
Bernard Carter's with us.
Good, but Bernard's been with us pretty faithfully.
Yes.
He's been another one of those Cheers people who come every week. They show up.
Right, and we have James Joe Bean Johnson is with us.
Nice.
Andrea Crawley.
Nice, Andrea. She's another one. She's part of Cheers crew now. Andrea, you're part of Cheers crew. My thing just went on pause for some reason.
It'll come back. Daytrell.
Okay.
Daytrell Day Wheeler.
Yep, that's my cousin.
And Andrea Blumaville, right?
Yeah, that's mom. Yeah.
Mike Click.
Okay. I know Mike. Mike's come on a couple of times. Good to see you, Mike.
Dr. Silverstone is with us.
Nice.
He
Dr.
said,
Steve.
He said, Dr. Al, the real deal Laws Jr., the love doctor.
The love
he said,
doctor.
Changed my life. Thank you.
Nice. That's what we're here to do, to help change lives.
Yes. Abiba said, be in the moment to receive the blessing from the person you are in relationship with.
Yes.
That's what she said.
In the moment.
That's what she said. And then we have, Daytrell said, good evening, cousin. This is on point. Yes. Someone said discipline. Yes. Discipline is very important. That was Joe Bean that shared that. So yeah, a lot of family sharing.
Yeah, nice, excellent. So I don't know what happened. Is it? Are we back on? Because I can't see myself anymore. I don't know whether it was a thing. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that makes it harder for me when I can't see. So anyway, going on as we go further, I really wanted to get the dynamic of the fact that if you allow someone to come into or invite somebody, remember we said in the beginning, if you want your relationship to be lasting, to be solid, to be fulfilling, I gave you that statement that you have to be willing to allow them to come into your life. And then I put on the other side of it is that you have to be willing to be more righteous than right. Now, that whole point about being more righteous than being right is really, again, another very important thing for you to really grasp, because we all think we're right. In fact, the Bible says every man thinks that he is right. Doesn't it say that? It says that in the scripture. It says every man believes what he believes is right, but the end of that way is death. You say, wow, okay, let me say that again. It says every man in his heart thinks what he is, where he's coming from and what he sees is right, but the end of that way is death. So what God is saying is that we have this very insidious, imperfect opinion about who we are and what we know and what we see. we actually believe we see when actually we're blinded by so many things. We really don't see as well as we think we see. You know, the example for me was when I got a certain age, and you know, you saw me now. Even when I took off my glasses, I squint a little bit. I was squinting, and I was just trying to figure out what. So I'm moving my hands back and forth, trying to figure out, you know, what is going on. Like I'm trying to read, and I'm squinting, and you know, but you would think that as I was doing that, because I'm thinking I'm seeing all right, you would think that while I was doing that I would automatically know, hey, you can't see right. That you can't see. But it wasn't until I picked up my father had some old glasses there. It wasn't until I picked up those glasses and I put those glasses, oh, whoa, okay, that's what it looks like. In fact, it looked totally different than what I was looking at the moment. And so we're like that in relationship. Like we have this presumption that we see it right, and the way we're looking at it is proper, and the other person is wrong. And if they would just see it the way I see it, we will be fine. We'd be good. If I could just convince them to see it the way I see it, everything in our relationship would be better. But that's really, I got one thumbs up. Come on, y'all got to give me some more of that. You know that that's what we do. So I see those hearts coming up. So yes, we really believe in our hearts. Every man thinks within himself that he is right. But the end of that way is death. Now let me tell you why it says that the end of that way is death. Because death really means that you don't have life, right? If you're dead, you don't have life. So you end the life of your learning. You end the life of your growing. You end the life of your insight when you get to a place that you believe that you are always right. And don't look at me in that tone of voice, even on Facebook Live. Don't look at me like that. Sometimes you'll even try to act like you kind of think the other person. Well, you say, well, I'm not always right. It's not that I'm saying I'm always right, but, well, you just said but. There you go. You just nullified what everything else you said, because really, and then when you engage in that relationship, in that dynamic, you are acting like you're right. You don't act like maybe the other person has a point too. Maybe all of your point is not right. So I think it's so important that you have a proper relationship with being right. Now, let's suppose that factually you're right, okay? Let's say that the person came down and said, you left that door open again. Or you left all those dishes in the sink again. And you said, babe, I didn't leave the dishes. Yes, you did. Because when I went down the last time, there was no dishes. Then you went downstairs and the dishes was there. Babe, I didn't leave. So, and then you said, look, I'm telling you, I didn't leave the dishes there. So you could go in to all that dynamic, and you can go into all that dynamic, and then they get on your nerves, and you get upstairs, and it may not be dishes, it might be something else. Your kids might get on your nerves about something. And you might be absolutely right about what you're saying to your child. But what I'm saying to you is that how you communicate, the spirit about how you communicate it, and if you become haughty and lifted up because you may be right in the situation, God forbid, death is coming, because there's going to be the time when you're not going to be right. And what's going to happen is that you have trained yourself to be so haughty when you are right. The times that you're not right, it's going to be hard for you to admit it. Now, don't listen to me. I know I'm speaking to somebody right now. You have so many times when you are trying to prove yourself to be right, and you feel good that you were right and you got them in their place. But then when they come and they have something right, you kind of squirm around it, trying to talk around it, try to make excuses for it. And you can't own that you're wrong because you've been so accustomed to trying to make sure that you convince everybody that you're right. So when a person thinks that they're right within themselves, the end of that way is death. It's a lack of life. You begin to you know, when you're dead, you're still. You don't move no more. Death stagnates you by definition. So when you get haughty and you've learned to be haughty and now you can't admit that you're right, now you're absolutely wrong. Or if you're the person that's right and you want to just, you know, hound on it and you know, you got all this pride about how you were right and you finally were right, and you say that about time they listened to what I said. So instead of being humble, instead of being in a place to, you know, recognize that, you know, how you got them to hear you makes all the difference. If you're a husband and you're shouting at the top of your lungs to try to get your wife to hear you because you right about something, you're absolutely wrong. If you're a wife out there and you're nagging your husband until he understands and sees what you're saying, or you go and, you know, find some kind of proof, but after you done fussed and complained, and you were absolutely wrong. You weren't righteous. You were more interested in being right. And you should be more interested in finding a place of agreement and understanding. So I go back to what I just said. You can just hold on to those things. Being able to be in a place of understanding and a place of agreement. And I would add to that when you have that heart, you're really looking for peace. And that's what me and my wife have always said over and over again, is that no matter what happens, our goal is to be in peace, to live in peace, to communicate in peace, and, you know, God forbid, to separate in peace. But I don't plan on separating, but I'm saying no matter what the dynamic, no matter what befalls you. In fact, the scriptures say this, and I'm going to start wrapping it up after I get my next Facebook folks in. The scripture says this: as much as it depends on you, be at peace with all men. Let me say that again. As much as it depends, as much as you have anything to do with it, as much as your perspective can speak to it, as much as you can use methods and tactics that are going to cause peace and bring about peace, as much as you can plan to ignore. Remember what that means? That means you ignore something, not ignore it, but you're overlooking it, you're ignoring it for another time. You come back to it. So you can plan to ignore something for the sake of peace. You can accept that a person didn't get your words exactly right for the sake of peace. You can let somebody misquote you for the sake of peace. You can let somebody be right, even if you know you might have been right in that situation or think that you were right in that situation. The real issue is not that big. So in the scheme of things, this is not really that big. It's okay, babe. I'm sorry. Tell me what you need me to do. I'll make sure that whatever you need. You know, I'm really going to, because my heart is to meet your need. As much as it depends on me, I'm going to be at peace with you. And if two people have that heart, if two people are doing that on a consistent basis, you're going to be happy. You're going to be content. You're going to have a great relationship. And you can look at Advice for Life and you're going to grab these nuggets here and there. But my goal is I'm trying to get you to peace. I'm trying to get you to contentment. I'm trying to get you to valuing and working in your relationship in a skillful way. I don't care if it's your relationship with your boss. I don't care if the relationship with your dog. I don't mean your dog. I mean, I guess your dog could get it. But dogs, Greg, this has worked with dogs before. You know, if you reflect the dogs and you learn, because I'm going to teach you mirrors. I'm going to teach you how to reflect in different ways other than just reflective listening. But if you give a reflective statement to a dog, they pay attention to that. They're very, sensitive to that. I want you to learn how to do this with your siblings, with your family members, with your neighbors. When you learn these skills and you really take them to heart, I guarantee you, not only will you feel good about yourself and feel better about yourself, not only will you have more insight about yourself and have more insight about the other person, but you are going to have relationships that are at peace, and you, more importantly, will be content and righteous before our God. So I want to hear some more from my Facebook family. I hope that you got something from that. I'm glad some people said that what they got was on point. I saw somebody on here, Greg, that said, James, that said it's a process.
Yes. Yep. That's what he said. He said it's a process. Karen Peter says, Karen said yes. Have to listen to all levels and respect and acknowledge what the other is saying.
Yes, you have to. You have to. And what we were talking about is how to acknowledge it. And we're going to talk some more about how you can more concretely acknowledge that. But I'm trying to get you past your thoughts and feelings. And I want to say this one thing, Greg. Remember, I want some of you to go back and look at my programs, listen to my programs about the awareness wheel, because it's going to teach you how to look at intent and look at thoughts and feelings and behaviors and see that cycle and that connection so that you can be aware, because the awareness wheel and understanding the awareness wheel helps you gain insight to your own process so you can see yourself, and also you can see the process of others.
Yes, absolutely. And Abiba, she also said, be right or righteous. Make the decision to be righteous.
Right.
Be in relationship of love.
Yes.
Be in the relationship of love.
Yes.
And then Tracy said, I'm going to practice reflective statements and listening with my cats.
It's gonna work, Tracy. It's gonna work. Your cats are gonna respond to you.
Right. Angela, she said, don't sweat the small stuff. It is all small stuff.
Right.
She said, I love that book. I'd rather live in peace than focus on being right.
Yes.
It takes discipline, prayer, and willingness to grow.
Willingness to grow. And willingness to be okay that, you got peace instead of being right. I mean, that's always going to be my choice. I want to be at peace much more than I want to be right. So love the hearts. It's there. Yep. So yeah, thank you. I see everybody, your thumbs up. I see that you have connected. Again, remember, we come here every Tuesday evening at 8:30. Get ready, because we're going to have some very dynamic shows. We're going to have our couples coming back in a couple weeks. And I really need you to spread the word to your friends. Remember, share, because it's fair. So I need you to make sure you share, repost this. Those of you who are in the background, as I told you, I have usually almost 400 people that are listening to this show while we're going on. So I need all you folks in the background to get the strength and be brave and jump in and say hi and give us some comments. If you have any questions, please send your questions. If you have any scenarios, or if you're willing and want to go through a process where I can give you direction and counseling in any relationship that you have, please feel free to give us a call at 410-578-8004. Again, that's 410-578-8004. And remember, you can go on my website. My website is going to give you insight about relationship dynamics. It's going to give you all of our past shows and our past material. That's advice, the number 4life.us. Again, the number is advice, the number 4life.us. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the new format. We're working on this new camera. It finally worked, y'all. This is like our 4th week, and it almost didn't work in the beginning. But I give Greg big props for working it out, for making it happen. And now you're going to see a very dynamic process as we get better and better as we present this every Tuesday evening at 8:30. I love y'all. Please be supportive. Share is fair. And I'll see you next week. Oh, I got to say this. Next week, you don't want to miss it. You are going to get something. We're going to be at Dominican Republic next Tuesday. So we're going to do a live show from the Dominican Republic. You don't want to miss that. Pass that on to your friends. You're going to love that. You're going to it's going to be crazy. You're going to get to see some really nice things. So don't miss next week's show. I love you. See you next week, Tuesday at 8:30. God bless.